Hello, everyone. It's me, Andrew. Hopefully, you all are doing well. I'm tuning in from Ligonier, Pennsylvania. It's been a little bit of a busy, stressful day, but it was a beautiful day here in southwestern Pennsylvania, and hopefully, it was lovely where you all are. Um, yeah, so we've been busy. You may be wondering, you'd be like, hey, that he's not supposed to be here. Well, yesterday at the last minute, I made some changes to my travel arrangements. Some of y'all know my dad was admitted to the hospital and he was diagnosed with cancer in his kidneys. And so, uh, luckily, he is stable enough that I can postpone my trip down. And the airline was super friendly and was able to change my plane plans, travel arrangements around. So that was good that we were able to do that. I got to see my sister Sheila yesterday. We were supposed to travel together, but then at the last minute, some of those travel plans changed. So I'm going to be going down later in November and hopefully with a little bit better idea of some different things that we're dealing with that. So stressful, but kind of necessary. It also, if you follow along on my personal timeline, you probably saw that I had some issues with my ID, my driver's license. So I'm working on that this week to get that kind of sorted out before I travel. And I probably could have gotten on the plane and done all that, but it would put me more at ease just to have my ID and all that settled, instead of trying to, you know, do any kind of traveling without a current ID. It's just like if I get pulled over or something like that, then it could cause a problem. So I don't want that to happen. So I think it will work out better so that, it's hard, it's hard. So we're doing our best and hanging in there, and we appreciate all of you out there. We were not on yesterday or over the weekend. We had thought about going on over the weekend. However, we realized that there was another event that was happening online, and we used to be a part of that. And it kind of, I don't know how to put this, but it kind of looks bad if I'm trying to like compete with the other things. So we just decided not to go live over the weekend. And then yesterday, William was supposed to go to the store and upload all of the new items from our online or from our current show on the project wall called Spooky Creepy. We had a debut opening event on Sunday evening. I did not go, but William said it was a lot of fun, and that I think Charlie came out for the event and brought a bunch of her friends, and it was a festive time. And we have so many goodies left over from the event, and I've been trying to not eat a bunch of cake and stuff, but temptation, right? I see a couple of folks are tuning in. Marianne's watching. Norma's watching. Suzanne's watching. Let me see. It jumped. Cheryl's watching. Hi, Cheryl. Amanda's watching. Hi, Amanda. Lorraine is watching. Hi, Lorraine. Teresa's watching. Hi, Teresa. Donna's watching. Hello, Donna. Let's see if anybody else is watching. If you are watching, say hello. Maybe say where you're tuning in from. It's always nice to see that. Susie's watching. Hey, Susie. Jane is watching. She says, so sorry to hear about your dad. There is life after cancer. Please remember that. I don't want to dwell on it too much because it is kind of a sensitive subject right now. And I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing for us to share. It's just one of those things where there's a lot of mixed emotions about stuff. And so, yes, like the part of my brain, the logical part of my brain says, yes, I'm a cancer survivor. I don't know if you knew that or not. Um, and so I know that in my mind there's life after cancer. However, after kind of like dealing with my parents, um, and I should say that my parents are getting older, and so sometimes it's a little bit of a challenge, like communicating with them, and so sometimes there's a lot of miscommunications. And my grandfather, he ended up getting cancer of the kidneys, and it spread to his lungs, and which was ultimately the thing that he passed away from. So, there's a lot of things in my brain that I know, like, and trying to be like level headed and being approaching this with, with all, with both eyes open, and trying to go in without any kind of illusions, and trying to be mindful, um, and to handle in a way that is conducive for everybody. Um, so even though I know those things, sometimes there's emotions and things that are attached to that, which are a little bit harder to navigate, because you can tell yourself all day, oh, don't listen to that, don't listen to that. And then you're laying in bed at night, and you're thinking and you can't sleep, and you're wondering about stuff. And, that's when things creep into your mind, and it's hard. So, with that being said, I don't, we're trying to stay positive and upbeat about stuff as best we can, but it is one of those things where it is challenging on many, many different fronts. And, at this point, the only way out is through. So we're just going to keep pushing and working and trying our best, and hope for the most optimal outcome, however that may be. Um, so yeah. Anyways, um, I see something. Somebody said something about something, but I don't know what's happening. Um, I guess there's a fire somewhere. Amanda says, "Is it like a peat fire, Suzanne?" I must have missed a comment. Um, anyways, hopefully everything's okay and everybody's staying safe. We really do care about y'all and think about you. And so whenever one of our people are in danger, that definitely causes us to take a moment to pause and try to hope for the best for everybody. Donna says, it is so dry here in Alabama. We are under a no burn order from the entire state. If you are caught burning, they will fine you big time. Um, Up here, it's been pretty wet. It was raining all weekend long, off and on. So that was another thing. Is normally we have a ton during the Ligonier Witches Bike Brigade. There are thousands of people who come all dressed up, and because of the rain and the cold, I think that was a big deterrent. So people would come, and then like they would it just didn't well, according to what I heard from William and some of the other merchants, it just wasn't as bustling as it was in years past, and it's understandable. Like, who wants to walk around in the rain? um and I was actually going to burn trash today, so that's it's um anyways. So um Marianne said, hopefully Sheila will be able to let you know more about what is really going on. Yeah, that's one of those things where, um, so I'm going by a lot of the information that I get is kind of third hand. And so um, like, I don't know, it's kind of hard because a lot of times people will call the store, even though I've never called from the store um, to like my parents. I've never called my parents from the store. And somehow they have my store phone number stored in their phone, even though I tried to tell them not to call. And so ultimately, it's like a game of telephone where dad will tell my mom something, my mom will tell Sheila something, and Sheila will tell me. And then sometimes it's like, doot, 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 doot. So in the very beginning, like my mom, she was freaking out. She's like, come quick, he's dying. And so we were all freaked out. And then, like, after we start talking, we realized it is a serious thing. However, it's not come quick, he's dying level to our knowledge. So we're just going to try to play it by ear and hope for the best. I am trying to do some more fundraising so that when I go down, I mean, this trip, if I would have gone down, it would have made it really, really hard on us. And that's because I've been away. And so we've been trying really hard to like stay. It's just there's a lot going on behind the scenes. So we've been trying really hard to keep everything going. And so when something like this happens, you know, uh, for us, money is not the thing that is important in our lives. Like, there's a lot of people who they base their lives on a certain type of status. So, like money or a fancy car or fancy clothes and things like that. And to me and William, those things don't really, um, they'd be nice, but it's not something that ranks high on our priority. So, um, so a lot of the money that we make in our business gets reinvested into our business. So what that means is that um, if everything goes well and according to plan, because we plan these things out, then everything will be fine. And we have a growth model. And if we stick to that growth model and everything goes according to plan, then, there are gains. So it's not like we're just doing it to do it and we don't care about anything. But at that same time, our margins are not as high as some of the other people out there on the internet. Um, or in person because I went to one shop and I almost my jaw like I understand like you can charge with the market bears, but I went to one store and I was like shocked. Like some of like a something that we would charge like $2 for in the store, they were charging 20. And I was like, I don't know how y'all figured that math out, but that 800% markup, whatever. I don't know. Anyways, with all that being said, we're trying to save up some money so that we can I can go down, or if William has to go down also, we can do so and not have to you know, or rally the forces quite so aggressively. So anyways, that's kind of what we're in right now. So we were going to do a preview of the Spooky Creepy show. But I don't know. I feel like I want to get everything posted online so that people can order things easily. Um, because some of the items are bigger, it does make some of the shipping a little bit more challenging. I mean, it doesn't make it super hard, but it makes it like more challenging than say beads. And so I was going to go up to the cottage and we were going to do the live from there, but Jen is taking off. So they're doing a double filming over at the cottage tonight. So I looked around the house and I have some ideas for things that we're going to do in the near future. And so I thought I would roll them out with Kit-a-Palooza. So some of the things that I'm going to show tonight, especially the first things, you're going to be like, that's not really a kit, but it will it's kind of a choose your own adventure kit. So you'll see what I mean when I talk about it later. But yeah. Lena says, hello, I was waiting and Facebook didn't show you were live. We were on a little, I was on a little bit after our set time. I thought we were set for 6:35 and we were set for 6:30 and I dropped in at 6:32. So maybe that's why, I don't know. But you're here now. I actually need to message you about something. Um, every year, I'm like every year. We went last year. There's a symposium called Material Topic Symposium at Eastern Carolina University in Greenville, North Carolina. And so we went last year and it was a lot of fun. And the tickets, the general population tickets dropped today. So I want to go, but I also want to save money to for when I leave. So I need to hustle and make a little bit more money so that I can get the ticket for that. But anyway, so I need to talk to you about that and iron out some of the logistics. But anyways. Amanda says, are you continuing the World Adventure Kits, the Global Adventure Kits? They didn't really sell very well. So there were like a core number of people who were really into them. And then like the turkey kit, I don't know why, because it's like one of my favorite kits that we've done. I have dozens of them. And so I don't know. We've been talking about it. We've been wanting to do more, but I kind of feel like if they don't sell well, then it doesn't really make sense to have like a special thing. And like so we make passports for those, and like that's an additional thing that Barb has to do. And I was doing them for a while, and I was like, why am I cutting pieces of paper? So I don't know. That's still kind of unresolved. At current, there is no plan to do more. So there's that. The same thing with the monthly creative make along challenge kits. They just didn't really sell. And I think people thought they had to buy one to go on the live with us and do the creative make along. And so somebody told us that I didn't buy this, so I didn't want to come because I didn't buy it. And I don't want to create that kind of problem. So those things are kind of put on the back burner for now. We have to think about things and maybe reconfigure them so that it makes it a little bit more doable for people, or kind of, I don't know. It's always one of those things where we have a great idea or what we think is a great idea and we put it out into the world, and maybe people like it, maybe people don't like it. And so we kind of have to configure and reconfigure things. And so at current, there are no plans to do more of those, but who knows, maybe we'll think about stuff and change it up. Marion says it would be nice to continue, but it is okay if it doesn't make sense at this time. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe as a seasonal thing. Hey, Barbara. Happy birthday, Barbara. Or happy belated birthday. Your birthday was yesterday. Norma says, I like the global adventure kits. I thought they were really fun, but they, like, I would sell maybe like 5. And then we were left with like boxes of stuff. So I don't know if we're gonna do that. Because it does take a lot of extra time for me, because it's not something like we don't necessarily carry, XYZ amount of specific thing for that a specific country. So that's where it gets like I have to do a lot of like sourcing and stuff. And so yeah, it is what it is at this point. Michelle says, I love the creative make along. I just can't buy every month, I'm guessing. Yeah, so that's one of the things is like we love the creative make along and we want people to participate in that. And I think that's more important to us to get people like on the Zoom and hanging out and forming those connections. So I would rather promote that than the kit because the kits were not selling very well. The creative make along kits were not selling very well. And I think people would feel they just felt like if they didn't buy it, they couldn't hang out. And so I don't want that. So that goes against kind of what some of the things that are important to us as a business. So I don't know. Maybe they'll come back if enough people want them. Then we'll maybe bring them back. But at current, it's not in the plans. Michelle says, but I know I can still join the chat. That's good. Lana says, yes, let's just make once a month whatever we want to make. Yeah, we say that is an option for people, but I know because we've gotten people message us and email us about how they feel funny about joining in if they didn't buy the kit. Um, so we get it, we understand, and we're going to try to open it up and make it more accessible to everybody. It's not something that we're necessarily going to make money off of, but I think it's more important to have that sense of community as opposed to not. Which I need to check the calendar and make sure. I don't know if there's a creative make along this month, if we already did it. I can't remember, honestly. I think there was supposed to be one on Friday, but I'm not sure. And then book club is on Monday. And we have to have a book club. I mean, even if nobody comes, we're going to have a book club. And we're going to talk about 3 books because we keep pushing it off. And soon we're going to be like, well, let's talk about the whole year of books in one meeting. So that kind of defeats the purpose of that. And a lot of that's my fault because I've been traveling and stuff. So that makes it a little bit harder. But I'm currently caught up with all the books. So up to this date. So we're on Monday. I don't know what the date is, but we'll meet up and we'll have our book club. And we're going to be talking about Braiding Sweetgrass. We're going to be talking about The Invisible Hour by Alice Hoffman. And we're going to talk about The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. So, and then it's not going to be like super in depth where we analyze the motivations of every character in them. And also the other thing is that I'm thinking about not streaming it to the group. Because we have been trying to stream it to the group so that more people would feel like they can be included. I think though some people are camera shy and they don't necessarily want to be broadcasted on all of our channels and stuff. So I think we may keep things kind of closed, just so that some people have more privacy. I still have to talk to William about that and work through kind of the logistics on that end. I mean, it's actually easier not to stream it to the group. I just don't want anybody to feel left out if they, if they don't want to go on camera. But I mean, that's the thing is like, it's a Zoom, so you can leave your camera off and you can comment in the comments on that. So that may be something that we figure out to make it a little bit more doable. Because I feel like if we don't get more like activity going, then it's just one of those things where we keep putting all this energy into promoting stuff and then it just doesn't take off, and then it takes away from things that actually do generate interest. So A lot of like logistical things. Those are not my favorite. So there's that. I see sweet Sandra says, I like the creative make along, but haven't bought every time. I didn't want to come since I didn't purchase. Yeah, so we're getting rid of that. We're keeping the creative make along. It is good if you use something you buy from us during the creative make along, but a lot of our hardcore people already work with stuff they get from us, so it's not a real big stretch. Marianne says make along, not listed on the website. I'll have to talk to William about that tonight when he gets home from filming with Jen. Um, but I thought we already had one, but this month has been kind of a blur. Donna said, I love hanging out and chatting. I'm very, very camera shy. Leave your camera off. That's fine. Chatting is a hard thing for us because when we have the Zoom going, we have to open another window and then the chat goes and there's like a delay on that. So sometimes we miss stuff and it kind of feels kind of weird and scattered. So um, just hang out in the Zoom, but leave your camera off. You can even leave your voice off too. But if the chat is in the Zoom chat, I can read that and it comes right up. It's super easy. But if it's in the Facebook chat, then that's where it gets a little bit more troublesome. Marion says, I'm reading the Graveyard Book. Oh, good. I thought it was all right. There's something where I'm like, I don't know. I think sometimes like depending on my mental state, the books don't always hit the same way. So, as they would other times. So I don't know. Danette says, hi everyone. Another hectic weekday. Cut grass after work, then made supper. Chicken and biscuits. Have to take Lucy back to the vet tomorrow for follow up on her eye. Oh no. Hopefully everything's okay with Lucy. Michelle says, book club, I don't do. It's really hard reading now, having double vision in one eye. I listen to the books, and sometimes that's good, sometimes it's bad. It depends on the reader a lot of the times. But yeah, that's basically the only way that I read books now, is to listen to them because I don't stop and read. Um, And like I said earlier, Marianne said, Donna, you can be on the Zoom, just not on camera. Yep. Marianne says, Michelle, my sister is pretty much blind in one eye, so she's had her grandson set up Audible book account. Yeah, I love my Audible book account. I also get a lot of books from Libby, which is from our public library. And I listened to the Graveyard Book on Libby, and so that was free and easy, and it was a pretty easy listen. So I'm curious to see what people make. Tracy says, I would love to join Creative Make Along with a kit for what you're creating. We might do more of those, but we'll brand it differently. So we're going to definitely continue doing Creative Make Along, but it's just going to be like a hangout. And then for people who want more like instruction, we are talking about doing more virtual classes like that. And so it would be a paid class, those ones. And we already have our first topic on the board. One of our teachers, Annie, she does a lot of felting. So she's working on a kit, a felting kit for an online class. And I don't really know what the status on that is, but I think that would be a good like winter one, when it's cold and you can just like hang out and stab some wool. Michelle says, I might. We'll see if I can. I'm guessing that's about the book club or audiobooks. And Donna said that she'll try that next time. It just makes it easier, you know. Didn't said I'd like to join book club, but I know I won't get the book read in a month. Some of the books are way long, so I get that. Some and some of them are shorter. So the thing that we've done, which I don't know if you're in the Inspired by Reading group, is we post the whole year in advance. And we need to talk about that if we're going to continue doing book club or not. I would like to do it because it forces me to read, but it's again, how much energy does everybody have for it? And that way, when we post a whole year's worth of books in advance, if you know you're a slower reader or you're going to have a busy month, like one of the months that we have, there's like somebody's birthday is like every single day. And so that month I know that I have to read my book in advance of that. So that way you can kind of plan your schedule around that. So, because I know everybody reads at different paces and has different things that makes their lives busy or not busy. And so some people, they read all the time. And then some people, they read like an hour a night. And that if you read an hour a night and there's a 30-hour book, you're going to be cutting it close. So I get it. There is the list online. I think we have one more book before the holidays, and then we take off for the holidays. So maybe we'll do, I don't know. We just have to think about it. And I might do like a planning committee meeting with some of our regulars to see what they think. Because I would hate to discontinue doing book club, and then the people who actually do book club feel like we're really cutting something out that they enjoy. So maybe we'll sit down and talk about like if we do an every other month book, or if we do a book, maybe do short stories, make it more doable like that. I don't know. We just kind of have to sit down and talk about that and work that out. Rosie says, good afternoon, everyone from Buena Park. Howdy, Rosie. Amanda says, your public library also has audio books. You may have to wait when one comes available. Yeah, and sometimes the books aren't on our library. I know our library is a smaller library. It's a good library. It's a really good library, but we are in a smaller community. So we don't always get like all the newest books right away. Marion says the Graveyard Book is quite short. Yeah, it is a shorter book. All right, so what do y'all want to do? Let's do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a preview of some of the paintings that I finished. They're a part of the Forest Friend series. I had a bunch of them planned out, and they're all still really rough. But since I'm here this week, I'm going to be able to work on them a little bit more than usual. Like I wasn't planning on working on them while I was away, because I was traveling. So, but since I'm home, I can work on them. So I'm going to do that, work on them and post them. So I've got a couple more. So I'm going to show you those. I'm going to flip the camera around. So you're going to see the ceiling for a second. More than a second. So I've been working on these for a while. I only have 2 to show, and I still have to seal them up. So this is a little weasel, and it's got a flower crown. And then I have this sheep. So these are the two that are going to come. My goal is to hopefully get the ones I have in the process done maybe on Friday. I've been working super hard on them. It's one of those things where I just like turn on my audiobook, and I've been having a hard time sleeping lately. I don't know if y'all can tell. Um but I've been having a hard time sleeping lately. So instead of just like laying there and worrying about stuff that I have no control over, I've been listening to my audiobooks and painting in the night. And so these are the two that I've been working on. And I'm hoping that they go live on Friday. That's my goal. I need to talk to William about that. But if all goes well, then I will have a bunch ready on Friday. And yeah, I like some of the ones that I'm working on a lot. So I like these two. This sheep one is one of my favorites so far. And this weasel kind of made me sad because my friend, who just passed away near my birthday, her last name was Weasel, and so we called her Weasel. And so I was thinking about her when I was painting this. She usually painted like because she's was an artist as well. So when she did it, she usually picked white weasels. But anyways, so there you go. That's a little sneak peek of some of the forest friends that are coming. Yeah, so keeping your eyes peeled for that. They should debut sometime on Friday. We'll make more of an announcement as time goes on. For people who are looking for the Spooky Creepy show online, it is not online yet. William had to take yesterday off to help me with like family stuff, and he drove and picked up my sister, and he's been like super trooper about helping me and my family navigate my dad's illness. So we were closed in the store and running errands all day. So unfortunately, he didn't have a chance to add those to the online store. And then today he's at his other job. So unfortunately, he couldn't do that today. So the hope is that tomorrow he'll be able to go in and do that. So keep your eyes peeled for that. There may be a kind of a video walkthrough sometime tomorrow. He's kind of talking about that. So keep your eyes on the lookout for that. All right. So before we continue, I want to explain the next four lots. So they are part of our Kit-a-Palooza adventure kind of thing that we're doing. Um, but I wanted you all to have the choice of this. So I'm going to sell you all tonight if you want them. And I should preface this by saying if you want anything for tonight's live, let me find the banner for that. Oh, I see some. It's so funny because sometimes the comments skip. Here, I'll put these on there so you're not just looking at a table. So sometimes the comments skip, and then sometimes they freeze. So, like Anne says, "Oh, I love the weasel," and she says the sheep is beautiful too. Lorraine says if you have a senior center in your town, they carry audiobooks too. I There are a couple of those, but I haven't heard of that where we are. Um, Marianne says the sheep love. Danette says I love the sheep. I think that one turned out pretty good. Lorraine says we have one, but they don't have audiobooks. Danette says the weasel is adorable also. Lena says super cute. Donna says they are both beautiful. Lorraine says love the weasel. And Danette says, such detail in both paintings. Thanks. Michelle says, I really like how the sheep looks. Thanks. when you're painting things like white on white, it becomes sometimes challenging. So I've been analyzing and looking really closely at sheep hair, I don't know, wool, sheep wool. Um, and a lot of times it's not like a white. It's like a off-white, yellow kind of color. So, yeah. So that's like clouds. When most people think of clouds, they're like, oh, white. But then you realize that there are subtle shades of gray and yellow and pinks and peach and blue and all kinds. So, um, yeah. So I've been thinking about that. Marion says, our library is large and has a great selection of both ebooks and audiobooks. Look, it's looking at you. The other thing, though, that I don't know what's up. I guess it's just stress, but my hands have been shaking lately. Um, and I don't know what that's about. Like, I need to like do some. It's probably because I'm exhausted, but my hands have been shaking a lot lately. So it's been a little bit harder to do like a lot of fine work. But I noticed this on the live the other night that I was on. I was on for like 2 seconds, and for some reason that came up when I was talking to William, and I noticed my hands were trembling a lot. So I have not. I don't know. I don't know what that's about, but I will definitely try to get some more rest, and hopefully uh, that will be that. All right. So in order to claim tonight. Um, to purchase from this video, take down each lot number and send it to us in an email at info@allegorygallery.com. And what I'm going to also say is that if you are a first time buyer, please include your current shipping address and also your preferred email address. Now, if you say you want a lot number and you only say the lot number, we're going to assume that you want one. However, all the lots tonight we have multiples of. So if you want more than one, please tell us. So it can be KP 19 times 5, if you want 5 of those. But so the pieces that I'm going to show you, the next pieces, they are parts of kits, but they're the base foundation of a kit. You do not need to buy these if you don't want to. These, if you are a fan of Annie and Ani and who is it? Ani and somebody. I keep wanting to say Ani DeFranco, but that's not it. But Ani and Alex, is that it? These are kind of that style. They're expandable bracelets, and they're meant to be charm bracelets. So what we had in mind for the kits is you would buy the base bracelet, and then we would have charm collections that we put together that are from the AG Fine Pewter selection, and those will debut if not tomorrow, then on Thursday. Um, so yeah. All right. So let me go back to the comments. Donna says, one of my neighbors used to raise sheep and their wool is off white to tan. And then Michelle says, stress, low sugar for my hand shaking. Marianne says, most likely stress. Donna says, geez, one of my neighbors. Sandra says that happens to me when I'm dehydrated. I'm actually not dehydrated. When my dad told us about his kidney issues, most likely a lot of that stuff is from not drinking enough water. So I've been chugging water and green tea like it's my job. So I don't know if you get shakes from drinking too much water. But anyway, so there you go. Marianne says even lambs are actually white. All right. So up first is KP 19. Let me see if I can get closer. And the first one up is this is a silver tone expandable bracelet. And it's this. I have multiple lots of this available. I think I have 12 of these. So these are silver, or silver plated, I believe. They a lot of times when you have these, they'll do steel and then plate the steel. And the reason why is the spring is a much harder metal and it's a more springy metal. So if you had this in fine silver, you could just squash it and with your hands, and it's not that's not necessarily great. So you can get it fairly, it's one size fits all. You know, if you have a very large wrist, then maybe I don't know how, it always depends. And if you need it to be smaller, you just squeeze it and then it makes it a little bit smaller. But again, if you have really small wrists, this might not work either. So it's kind of in the middle kind of range. You can definitely squeeze it more to get it to be smaller, but this is KP19 and it's $4. All right. Donna says my sister has one of those bracelets. Yeah, they're super cool. I love them. And we've actually been talking about this. When we got the pewter line, we were gonna really kickstart selling these, but for whatever reason, we just didn't do it at the time. So this is gonna be KP20. Sorry about that. So this is a gold tone one. This one is a little bit different. Now this one, instead of having that kind of a hook, it has a jump ring and it has these two balls on it. And that makes it so that nothing can come loose. Um, it's not as bendy as this other one, but it is a gold tone and it's got these larger balls, which make it a little bit more decorative. This is KP20 and it's $4. If you're interested in it, send us an email with the lot number, how many you want, and price. Or you don't even have to do the price because we know the price. And send that to info@allegorygallery.com. Teresa says leaving on her Maryland trip on Friday for 6 days, so I hope I don't miss anything. Where in Maryland are you going? All right. So this is KP21. This one's a gold tone one, but it's a little bit more dainty than the last one. And Julie says these make awesome charm bracelets. I think so. These sell pretty well. And then at $4, you can't even buy the wire for $4. So yeah, I think they're a good deal. Teresa says Ocean City Resort Gift Expo. Oh, good luck. Hopefully you have a very successful trip. But these are really fun. They open up. You can slip your hand in. And I'm not going to do it on camera because the camera is set really low to the table. And if I try to do that, I'm going to start knocking into stuff. So this is KP21, $4, multiple lots available. I think I have 12 of those as well. This is a bright gold with a smaller ball end. Yeah, so that's exactly what we were thinking, Anne. She says, I think it will be fun for people to customize their bracelets with a fine pewter line, charms, and what other fun beads. These are great for, we did a lot of seed bead videos over the winter or summer. What am I saying? Summer. We did a lot of seed bead tutorials over the summer. And a lot of that stuff could work very well with those charm bracelets. So you can cover your whole charm bracelet in seed beads. Um, and you just stitch it up and you can really customize those. That's what I love about these is that you can really customize and make them unique. So this is the last of the charm bracelets that we have. This is, that's two of them. So this is a little bit different than the last one in that it's an antique brass finish, but it is steel. So just keep that in mind. So this is KP22. It's $4. I believe I have 12 of each of these. And so I think they could be really cool. I love a good charm bracelet. One time we went over to our friend Ann Choi's house and she showed us this charm bracelet from this girl's trip in the 1920s. Apparently, she went by herself and went around Europe, and at each of the stops, she collected a little souvenir. And so, whether that was a coin that they drilled out and put onto the charm bracelet, or a little tiny like memento of like, you know, like the Leaning Tower of Pisa in Italy. And she had one which she, when I picked it up and I looked at it, she goes, "Look through it," and I was like, "What do you mean look through it?" And there was a tiny little Eiffel Tower. It was real tiny, small, like real small, like maybe an inch. And at one point in the little tiny charm, there was a tiny, tiny, tiny glass bead. And so I was like, "What do you mean look through it?" And she's like, "Look in the little glass bead." And so I held it up to the light and I looked at it, and there were 12 scenes of Paris on that tiny, tiny little glass bead, which I thought was so crazy. Um, but and I can't remember what they're called. There's a name for them. Um, but it's basically a reverse photography method. So normally with the photograph, they have expanders. I can't remember. It's been a long time. But it blows up an image on the negative, and that's how it makes the photo. But instead, it's like a reverse process where instead of making it bigger, it makes it smaller. And so the little glass bead acts almost as like a magnifier. Um, and so when you look through that tiny little glass bead, it would blow up and you would see those different kind of scenes. I thought it was so cool. Um, and I really love charms. I think there's something wonderful about finding something that has a special meaning to you and then adding it to, you know, either a necklace or a bracelet. It's a wonderful touchstone to different memories or experiences. And I think it's a really nice way to preserve a memory, or like for that girl, you know, it wasn't very common for women to travel on their own back then. But in this tiny little bracelet, it was this like adventure of somebody's life all captured in one little bracelet. So I definitely am a fan, and I hope that you all are as well. So this one is KP22 Kapow, and is $4, and I have multiples of those available. All right. So that's KP22. So up next, KP23. All right. So this is KP23. It's $16. It includes 2 strands of vintage plastic. I love, 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 love these strands. It includes a strand of checked glass in a kind of wine color. And it's got this orange. These are kind of rondelles, faceted rondelles. The facets aren't super sharp on these, so it's a little bit less like razzle dazzle time. And then there are also some African jade rounds, or African jade, African turquoise. It's African turquoise, y'all. And these, does that look like jade to me? So we're just gonna go with let me see. I think it's a weird one because on the matrix it's not that gemmy with a black. Gemmy with a black is usually jade, and then with this kind of matte, and maybe a mixed strand. Anyways, so, and it also includes this antique copper finish fine pewter bead from Allegory Gallery, and you also get a toggle. So toggle, butterfly in the sky, and then this really cool vintage plastic. It, some people are like, oh, plastic, I hate plastic. But when the plastic looks like this, it's so cool to me because it looks like a natural stone, but it's super lightweight. And it's also room temperature. One way that you can sometimes tell if a stone is a stone and not plastic is if it's colder than room temperature. Usually that means it's stone. I mean, that's not always the case, but in a lot of cases it means that it's the cold touch means that it's a natural stone. So if it's room temperature, sometimes it's glass or plastic. So it's one of those little tricks that people use to identify things. So I like that it's kind of room temperature. Sometimes you don't want that like cold business all over your skin. Sometimes you do, but sometimes you don't. Anyway, so you have these little rounds, these stone rounds, and then this juicy color. I love this one. It's orangey. There's a slight kind of not pink necessarily, but there is kind of a little bit of a blush going on. So they just glow. I think they're just so lovely. These little nuggets are, yeah, usually we sell these $3 a strand in the store. I can't remember. We don't have these in the store right now because I pulled all of them for the kits. So this is KP23, $16. And I have multiples of those available. Shell says awesome mix. I mean, this is delicious colors. Donna says vintage plastic is so much fun. I think it's, there's different levels of stuff, right? So some plastic, vintage plastic, there's a bunch of mold lines. I don't think it's not useful. You can do stuff with it. I think a lot of times what the things that excite me is when somebody takes something that a lot of people don't consider valuable and they make it valuable by what they do to it. So I think that's that's the cool thing about being a maker. Now this is going to be KP 24 at $16 also. That includes, this is one of my favorites from the AG Fine Pewter line, is this gold tone floral toggle. That's probably one of my favorites from the line. It also includes some vintage seed beads. I believe these are Venetian. They're an opaque white. So you get those. you get this Austrian glass faceted bicones. These are not crystal, but they look like that, right? But you get a whole strand. It's a double stuffed strand, y'all. Look. It's long. It's like 36 inches long, I think. So you get those. And you also get these glass drops, these vintage glass drops. And I think those are really fun. They're a matte finish, so they also almost glow. There's a little dirty one in there. And yeah. So this is KP24, $16. And we're in fall right now. But I'm also, as a maker, I'm always thinking ahead to the next season. And if you're like me and you have to get ready for the Christmas time or holidays or winter, we wanted to include some different lots for Kit-a-Palooza that would gear you up for the holidays. Because I know, like, when you get busy, then you just get busy. You can't necessarily crank out a bunch of Christmas stuff at Christmas. You have to do it before that. So this is kind of a nod to the winter, kind of like a winter garden effect. So hopefully you all like that. This is lot KP24, and it's $16 for this kit. Like Lana said, wintry mix. All right. So up next is KP25. I also wanted to include some kits that were not necessarily like super huge. So you get a hand dyed piece of columns. Michelle says the white bicones I love. It's hard to find those sometimes. Yeah, those are super vintage. So last place I found them is us, and then that's it. Suzanne says reminds me of snow in NYC. I guess like a first snow. But when you get in winter in NYC and it's been a while, it's not pretty anymore. But the first snow is like magic. It like transforms the city where everything gets under this like little blanket of crystalline whiteness and everything's pure and pristine, and the gold looks so bright underneath all that. But then when you get later on, then it's all like black ice and slush and mush and cold socks. So anyway, so you get this hand dyed column silk, and you also get some rose quartz with this. And these are particularly juicy. They got some nice color to them. It's actually showing up as pink on the camera. Sometimes when we show stuff pink on the camera, it doesn't necessarily show up. So Amanda says fall is very short. Winter will soon be here. Anne says out of nowhere, I was 77 and sunny here today. Yeah, it was really beautiful here today. I wish I had was in a position a little bit easier to go out and do some yard work, because it would have been nice. And then the thing that really sets this is there's an artist named Chris Schnabel. Shabel. Her name is Chris. Let me see her. She makes glass beads. And this is one of her glass beads. And I bought these before I was really keeping track of who made what. And so at one point I posted it. I was like, who made this? Can you name it? And she's like, I made those. And she's like, the reason why I can tell I made those is because they're on white pipe cleaner, and I used to put my beads on white pipe cleaner. So that's how she identified her own kind of thing. But this is kind of a beautiful kind of It almost glows like an amber color, but it's a pink. It's got that beautiful kind of glow. I don't know. I could stare at these all day and have. So that's what's in this kit. It's not a huge kit. These ones, this alone, it costs, but we have some extras in there. All right. Um, so this is not a huge kit. Sometimes we make kits and they're like, double stuffed and overflowing, but these ones are not as big. Right? So this is KP25. It's $8. And I have a few of these available. I think I have 5 of these kits. But I need to make sure. So if you're interested in KP25, you can send us an email at info@allegorygallery.com and let us know. It's first come, first serve. So that's how we do it. My friends Yuti and Gunther, they are the ones who did the hand-dyed silk. They went back to Germany though. For a while, they were living in an RV and driving around the desert. And her name is not pronounced Yuti, but she says, "Oh, I like it when you call me that because it makes me feel more American." And so we call her Yuti Cutie. Yuti Cutie. All right. So the next one is this one. No, Mrs. We're having a stretch of upper 70s all week this week. Yeah, we are too. So I'm going to hopefully get out and do some yard work. So this is lot KP26. It's $12. I have multiples of these available. This is more vintage plastic and it's got an AB finish. I love, love, love these. They are so pretty to me. There's something about an AB finish that makes my heart race. And so these are in kind of a lemony kind of pineapple quartz colored plastic, and then it's got that AB on top. And so it makes them look like magic to me. Speaking of pineapple quartz, I have these pineapple quartz rounds. So those go. These are stone. Now, pineapple quartz is a synthetic. And there are people who said that it's not synthetic, but I'm like, you sure about that? Basically, when they name some after the fruit, usually it's synthetic. Not always, but usually. And then you get these vintage seed beads. Those are size 10, 10-0, I think. And then Marianne says, okay, folks, I'm envious of your nice temperature. And then you get this gold-plated AG Fine Pewter toggle from us. And it's kind of twisted. Somebody said bubbles, and you know what? That's what I was thinking of too. But you can make this however you want. Julie said would make beautiful snowflakes. And in my mind, when we were kids, we used to take coat hangers and make bubble wands. And when we would when my dad would wash the cars, we would take the leftover bubble water and we would blow bubbles. So yeah, that's a nod to that, but it could be whatever you want. And I love these. I was on fire for this. When pineapple quartz kind of first came out, it was probably in the late 90s, early 2000s, and I was like on fire for it. I was just like so smitten with it. And so I love opalescent glass. I don't know what it is. It's that glow. Um, and anything that glows, I'm like bewitched. I'm like, how is this make in my mind? How for this be? And I don't know. I just get where I'm like bewitched by it. Anyways, this is KP 26, $12. I have multiples of these, but I don't have a ton. I think I have maybe 6. I need to do a recount on those. No, that was KP26. All right. So this one is one that you're going to have to use the power of your imagination, because I was going to make a sample, but then I was like, I don't have time. So I did not make a sample. This is KP27. It's $14. And you got 1, 2, 3, and 4 types of vintage seed beads. And these seed beads, I believe, are 11O, and they're rocals. Now, someone was like, what's a rocal? Rocals are different than like delicas. Delicas are more like a tube, and a rocal is more rounded. And I believe these are Czech. So you get 4 of those, and then, but wait, there's more. You get 2 of these baby doll faces. And they're glass buttons, and they're vintage, they're antique at this point. So if an eye is missing on yours, sorry. If you want more, like, I guess you could take your vintage paints and paint stuff in, but not everything is the same. So just keep that in mind. Some of them were, they're old. So like this one has an eye in one, but not in another. This one also has that. So you can adjust it if you want. You can also like scrub it with acetone and make it all that blue color. But so you get these 2 buttons. I believe these are Lamode buttons, glass buttons. And then you get these 2 Japanese dimpled rounds. And so KP27, $14, multiple lots available. If you are interested in those, send us an email to info@allegorygallery.com. I don't have very many of these buttons left. So those are coming out of my stash. So if you want that, make sure you claim that early, because once it goes away, it's not going online. They're going to go back in my stash. I make rings out of these usually. What I do is I grind off the backs, the shanks, and then I set the face like a face cabochon. So that's what I use them for. But anyways, this KP27, $14. You got 4 bags of vintage seed beads, 2 Japanese dimpled rounds, and 2 face buttons. So I originally had this idea of making like this, and then these would like sit in the middle like that. Does that look? What do y'all think about that? These aren't these beads though. I was like, oh, maybe I'll make a kit of that, but I did not. So that was kind of the idea, and then instead you get that. But you could do something similar. Julie said easy to paint. Yeah, I mean, they painted them once before. The nice thing about the heat set paints, the vintage paints, is that when you hit it with a heat gun or pop them in the oven, that really bakes on the paint, and it makes it really durable. Amanda says, I love floating heads. So cool. Marianne says, cute idea. Donna says, that looks so cool. Julie says, so cool. Yeah, so I love the little blue faces. I collect a lot of stuff, and one of the things I collect is frozen Charlottes. And the story of them is kind of horrific. But and then they're like, let's make children's toys. Let's make really fragile children's toys after a child that froze to death. But anyways, so because I like creepy stuff, y'all know this. It's not like it's new. Um, where if you are new, I like creepy stuff. So, anyways, they kind of remind me of the Frozen Charlottes, the little faces. Um, and so, anyways, this is lot KP27 and it's $14. And if you're interested in it, send us an email at info@allegorygallery.com. Oh, and somebody asked about if they emailed us recently and they didn't hear back. So William has been super great about being a rock for me and helping with my dad. And so that has taken some of his time and attention away from some of the other things. So if you are waiting on something, just know that it's not lost or we don't forget about you. We're just kind of slowly working through stuff as we can. Barb is also out this week, so shipping has been delayed a little bit, but he has been going after work and packing things and shipping them out. So, and I've actually gone and helped a little bit too. So, so packages are still going out. They're just not as going out as quickly as they do when Barb is here. So just keep that in mind also, because I know sometimes people are like, "Oh, where's my stuff? Where's my stuff?" And it's we're still working through some stuff. Um, and I found a box that got set aside. Um, and so that's going out probably tomorrow. I mean, there's stuff like that if Barb isn't here, um, since it's like her domain right now, we kind of do what we can do easily, but without trying to mess our system up. So, so yeah. Anyways, there you go. This KP27. Danette says, "Have you shipped any of the treasure hunt boxes number 2 yet?" No, those are not out yet. Yeah, those are not out yet because they didn't finish making them. So I'm just being realistic about those. Those ones we were going to, it really sucks when stuff like this happens. But no, those did not go out yet. So they should be going out sooner since I'm actually here though. All right, so this is the next kit. This is KP28 and is $12. And you get, oh, I picked the wrong thing. Oh well. You get a thing of wax Irish linen. This is 1 meter long. You also get this silver plated end clasp. These are for this leather. And I'm going to show you the leather. And the leather is in this kind of cool teal color. It's got kind of a pearlescent finish. And so you'd cut this to length and then put a little bit of Loctite super glue and then glue that in. So that's how you do that. This will make, don't throw away your scraps because that is useful. This will make a necklace and then a bracelet and then some. And then you also get one of this crushable lamprey glass beads. It's an artisan made lamprey glass bead. And you get 2 little birds. I meant to grab the silver ones, but I grabbed the copper ones instead. So, anyways, this is KP28, $12, multiple lots available, and you get all of this. So I think that's fun. This one, an artisan one, makes it go a little bit more expensive, but I thought, hey, I love them. I think they're really beautiful. The nice thing about it, they've got ample holes, so you can fit that over the leather and use that. You can also do some seed bead wizardry if you got some of the vintage seed beads. I saw Lennis got a bunch of vintage seed beads. And make a little tube, a little slider tube. That could be fun. some elements to put. But, and also, if people have asked what my preferred super glue is to like glue things in place, and it is Loctite super glue. I know sometimes people recommend E6000 or the E6000 or E600. I don't know, it's E6 something. The thing about that is when that kind of glue dries and cures, it's still flexible. So if you want it to be flexible, you can use that, and that'll be good. Marianne says E6000. Yeah, so that you can take and take like a razor blade and kind of dig something out. However, with the Loctite, when it cures, it cures more. It cures harder and less flexible because basically it's super glue that doesn't run everywhere. If it's regular super glue, I hate regular super glue. Regular super glue gets all over everywhere, and you have no control over it, and it just gets into infinity and beyond, and it's the biggest pain in the butt. Super glue, the original formula of super glue, was developed in Vietnam as a way to quickly um, uh, get wounds stitched together. That's what it was originally designed for. So you didn't there wasn't an idea of like precision. It was just like, what can we do to make the people stop bleeding? And so at least that's what the rumor about how that got invented was. I don't know if that's been myth-busted or what. But anyway, so the other issue is that since it's so runny like that, it has a vapor. And you don't necessarily see the vapor, but if you've worked with regular super glue, you can definitely smell it. And the thing about that is if you use something like crystal, crystal has a static electric charge to it, which creates a kind of a field around the beads. And what happens is when you have something like that, that vapor is attracted to that static field, especially if you rub them on your jeans or something. And then what happens is your crystals look scummy. So it looks like there's like a crust on them, and so you just have to be careful. So Loctite, I found, doesn't do that as much. However, if it's super duper duper static electricity day, then sometimes it happens, but not nearly as much as with like regular super glue. So that's why I don't like to do it. Now, another tip of using the leather is if you have some really coarse grit sandpaper, like a 220 or a 320, and you just take the end, I'm just going to do this, and then you just go like this around the tip. What that does is it's called creating a tooth. That tooth will make it so that you have a better and more secure bond. It's kind of like when you're doing ceramics. How many of you have done ceramics before? If you've worked with ceramics, then you know when you're joining pieces of clay, you mark up the clay and then you put the slip and then you kind of maneuver it until it locks in place. That's the same idea, is creates a fuller and more secure bond. If you just stick a piece of clay on top of another piece of clay, it's basically two pieces of clay still. And when you fire it, it can pop right off. So just keep that in mind. It even happens in polymer clay. If you don't really score and secure your clay, it can come loose if it's kind of dry. And so all you have to do is take a little bit of some of that liquid polymer and dip in that and put it on. But anyway, so that too helps hold it in place. So if you're going to go and use that for a project, just keep that in mind. It's not the end of the world. If you don't that texture and tooth to it, it does work better though. So just keep that in mind. All right. Um, And says they used some kind of glue for my finger that I sliced on a meat slicer. Worked great. Yeah, that's basically that. Danette says my friend has super glued the arms back on her glasses and ended up with super glue on his lenses. He finally bit the bullet and bought a new pair of glasses. Yeah, that happens. All right. So I did a demo a while ago about using rings in a project, and people asked for them, but they never got put online. So if you didn't see this, I did a project for a competition, and one of the things that we did is she sent some vintage plastic rings, and so I joined those up with jump rings. So I did a little tutorial. Sorry about that. I did a little bit of a tutorial on how to do that, and people asked me where to get the rings. So this is KP29, and you will get a pack of these African Dogon glass rings. Now, I'm going to tell you this and preface this. These are done in a way that sometimes there's little sharp points. That does not mean they're defective. That does not mean that they're wrong. If they were super cracked or super sharp, I try to pick out the ones that were super dangerous. However, if there is something that's a little bit sharp, all you have to do is take a little dab of water, put a little dab of water, and then get some wet dry sandpaper and lightly buff anything that's sharp. And it will take the sharpness right off. Now, I recommend using that little drop of water because it helps keep the dust down. If you want to be super safe, put on glasses, safety glasses, and a dust mask. Do it outside and good ventilation. And, there you go. But generally speaking, you're not going to be sanding your whole life away. You're just going to be knocking off any sharp points. Another option is if you have a piece of wood, you can also twist that on the piece of wood and it knocks off anything that's kind of sharp. However, you have less control and you can break stuff off. So these are glass and they are fragile. So just keep that in mind. I am going to preface that because I don't want anybody to get these and then be like, oh, these are so terrible. They're not all perfect and not all the same. They are all handmade and all different, and they're made in Africa. Lana says, yep, sandglass bees all the time, especially vintage handmade. And you also get a thing of jump rings and an AG fine pewter toggle. Now, I have made all of these this part all the same. These ones come in different colors, and let me get these out so you can actually see them. B and C, some of them are a little bit thicker, some of them a little bit thinner, but this is a beautiful, beautiful color. It's this kind of teal green. And then also, this one, it's got a little bit, I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's not perfectly smooth and ring-like. So just keep that in mind. These are vintage Dogon African disc rings, not discs, but rings, Dogon glass rings. So that's what you get. KP29, $8, and multiples of those available. Now I'm going to get rid of these ones, but I'm going to show you different colors. I'm not going to get rid of the jump rings because the jump rings are the same. I dropped one. All right. So up next is KP30. you get this jump ring and toggle mix, and then I have this red, and there's two different kinds of red in it. So that's just the way they came on the strand. You have this one that's like a more transparent red, and then you have this one that's like a more, it's less transparent. It looks like they put an opalescent glass, but you can kind of see the difference. I just wanted to let people know that because they're not exactly the same. So this is different than this. You know, you can see the differences. Like this is a little bit more opalescent and a little bit more opaque because of that. And then this is more translucent. So this is lot KP30, $8 for this group of these African rings and some jump rings and a toggle. All right, KP30, $8, and it's that red color. Now up next, I think this is the color that I demoed, and people were asking and asking for it, and William's like, I'm not taking anything off his desk unless he says. So if you were one of the people that asked for this, then here you go. Let me put this in there. This is KP30. And it's this color. And this is more of a vibrant green. But see like how on this one, there's a little bit of a sharp spot there. It's not super sharp, like it's not cutting me. But I would take a little bit of that wet dry sandpaper and hit that little point, a little dab of water. And then that's it. You know, you don't have to worry about it. But it's not, I mean, it's not a defect. And this is what KP31. In theory, I could go through and hand grind down each and every single one of these. However, the price, if I do it, goes up. So just so you know, I would love to do it for everybody, but if I did it, the price is going to go up, and it would be just so simple for you to do it if you need to do it. So this is lot KP31. It's more of the Dogon glass rings, and this is kind of like a limeade kind of green. It's I believe like an opalescent glass, which is really lovely. And then you also get that pack of jump rings and an AG fine pewter toggle in that copper. And the reason why I didn't switch this out is because I think that is a nice little perk to have. All right, and then the last one we're going to do tonight is KP32. It's also $8, and that includes this mix like the other ones, and this kind of a root beer brown color. And that's those. Now, if you don't want to use these the way that I showed you, Norma says, how do you spell the names of those glass rings? So that's spelled Dogon, Dogon, or Dugon. When you normally buy them, you have to buy them by a great big strand, and those strands can be like 120 a strand. So this way, when you buy it like this, it's a little bit more affordable, as opposed to like buying a great big strand. That way, I kind of like that because not everybody wants, you know, hundreds of these rings. Maybe you just want enough to make one necklace. Now the other thing that you can use these with is if you Sand and finish if you need it, but you can also use your circular brick stitch on this and add embellishments that way. And you could make it so that it's like the core of one of these mandalas. Wouldn't that be fun? And you would just do that circular brick stitch. I've shown that like a gajillion times. But what you would do is you just tie on your thread, make a knot, add 2 beads, and then continue with the circular brick stitch around. And that is how you would get that. That's more on the in the akin to like this flavor. And so you could have those vintage seed beads all the way around that. So that's a good option for that. This is KP32, $8 only. And yeah, so that is probably going to be the last for this evening. I'm not going to flip the camera around because I feel kind of gross. So, you know, I'm going to spare you that. We're going to have some more lots tomorrow, and I believe that's day 4. And tomorrow we're gonna have the charm sets. So if you're interested in the charm sets, the AG Fine Pewter charm sets, we're gonna go through and make little packets up. And so you'll get like there'll be a sea theme one, there'll be like a dragon theme one, there'll be a bunch of different ones. And you can use that for the charm bracelets that we showed at the beginning of this of the lots this evening. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for all of your support. I know, a lot of businesses, you just buy stuff, you get stuff, and that's it. For us, I really feel that what we're doing is we're building a community. And so you get to know me, and we get to know you, and we get to know each other, and we create this community. So the last couple of weeks have been super hard for me. They've been hard for William too. And I actually talked to William about this last night, and he was getting these really crazy shoulder pains. And I think he gets that I don't always think that caregivers get enough attention or praise for what they do. Um, and William is definitely has been like helping take up extra slack, um, and has been helping me a lot. And he gets kind of like vicarious pains, like in his neck or shoulder and things like that. And I was like, how come your shoulder's hurting? I'm the one that had to deal with all this stuff. And anyways, so it's one of those things where I think that he's been putting a lot of extra effort into helping things go, make things go, and do things a lot easier for me. And has been super considerate about trying to make stuff as easy as possible so I don't have things to worry about. Um, and so, anyways, I was saying that we could not be able to do what we do without y'all. So we appreciate that a lot. I know some places you just buy stuff and get it, and then that's it. And we ask a lot of our people. We ask people to engage in community and build in community and do things like that. And so we ask people to share our posts and get the likes out and make sure to, like and follow and do all these things that you know, on top of just being a customer, you have to do all these things. I think we feel like it's a good trade off. You get stuff, we give stuff, and we get stuff, we get to do stuff, we get to live this life. So, anyways, we are so grateful to all of you out there who have been so supportive of us throughout all of this. Um, it's not been easy. There's a lot of stuff that's been going on. My me and my dad have not always gotten along. Um, he is a very different kind of person than me, and when I came out, I was very expressive and I felt things very deeply. and I wanted to talk about my feelings, and I wanted to talk about the colors of flowers, and making art, and stuff like that. And my dad was like, no, we have to do whatever we have to do to survive. There's no time for any of that. So we did not always get along. There's very str- hard years between us. And it's only been recently, within the past couple years, that things have started to smooth out. And so I kind of feel like uh, it's just difficult, because when he got sick, it brought up a lot of stuff that I did not anticipate. I thought everything was kind of already said and done, and we were moving on, but it brought up a lot of those feelings. So it's not been super easy. And so we appreciate all of you out there who have been patient with us. Things are going out pretty on track. There are some hiccups and some delays and stuff, but for the most part, everything is pretty much moving along smoothly. So, that says a lot about Jen and Barb and Annie, and we've gotten a lot of help from our local community. So I just wanted to say thank you again for all of your support. I know, like, I was super stressed out because I didn't even know if I would have enough money for a plane ticket to go down to see my dad, and y'all stepped up and helped make that possible. And so, thank you again for all of your support. We appreciate all of you. And I know it may sound like a broken record when we say it over and over and over again, but we are deeply grateful to all of you out there. So, thank you so much. Have a good night, everybody, and take care of one another. If you're sad or upset or feeling lonely, we have a wonderful community here where you're not alone. No matter what time of day, there's usually somebody up. So just know that you have people who are rooting for you, and you're not alone. So have a great night, everyone, and see ya.